at the distance of the Twin Trade Centers. So you would expect that the people who got that video would have done something with it. They would have told the UFO groups. Instead, this video just sort of remained underground, has been rediscovered right here on this show.
Though the World Trade Center UFO video remains a mystery, other people around the country are actually using video cameras to capture extraordinary objects that cannot be explained conventionally. Some people are actually becoming UFO video hunters. Chris Miller is one of them.
I guess it started with my grandfather. He died in 1980 and left me all of his material and on Eric Von Daniken. And Eric Von Daniken's whole idea was that we were visited once before. And it was my idea that I want to try to go out and try to get proof for this. It started basically 5 years ago in Michigan, while we were living in Michigan, and I caught one object on video. I brought it to the airport, and no one knew what it was there, and that's how the ball started rolling. On May 2nd, 1998, we were outside, my son and I were outside playing in the dirt, and I looked up and I saw, it was kind of cloudy that day, and I saw something sitting up in the clouds. So I ran real quick, my camcorder was ready to go. I came back, and I zoomed right up to it. For about 15 minutes I had this on video, but the first 5 minutes, all of a sudden it disappeared. It went from one part of the sky at least 30 miles in a split second. I zip the camera over and I catch it again. And it was just absolutely fantastic because the object is huge. It's definitely over 100 feet in diameter. I set the zoom on infinity basically and zoomed into the maximum, and it looks, it's hard to say what it looks like, but it looks like a flying saucer.
Incredibly, Miller was able to capture this amazing UFO cluster and 2 orbs on video as well.
When I was taking the cluster, my heart was racing. You can even hear me breathing hard. After I realized what I captured on tape, it felt great. For the past 3 years, I've been told so many things, I'm not really sure what to believe anymore. Naval Intelligence studied my footage for 4 months, and their only comment was they have no idea what the objects are. I have no idea what I'm catching on video. If these objects are ours, military, secret projects, were at least 1,000 years beyond our present technology that they let us know about. I personally think it's a desensitization process that our public is going through by seeing these things. Try to have your camcorder handy and ready at all times, so when you do see something, you'll catch something amazing on video, and then we all can come together and go to Congress with this, and then the public hearings could start, and the Americans could learn the truth once and for all.
And Miller is not alone in his desire to capture UFO evidence for public scrutiny. Tom Saborin, another UFO hunter, began videotaping UFOs after seeing extraordinary footage taken over Gulf Breeze, Florida in the early 1990s.
It's breathtaking. When I first seen the videos in Gulf Breeze, it made me go out and get a camera. I started going out every night and every day. I made it my job to get it on tape. It looked like a big cigarette and it was flying across the sky. It looked like 4 balls that was connected. The third ball to the end was red. The last ball white, 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 red. I think it either could be extraterrestrial or some type of new animal.
Or possible military vehicles. There's no doubt that mysterious things are being captured in the skies over America. Maybe with more and more video evidence being studied, answers to the UFO riddle will start to emerge. While UFOs have been caught on tape all over America, UFO researchers have wondered for years what NASA cameras may have managed to capture in outer space.
Franklin, we see a long line.
Amazingly, these shocking video sequences shown here for the first time on television might prove once and for all that NASA knows UFOs are navigating just above the Earth and dangerously close to our space shuttle missions.
When I saw the tape, I realized that I was looking at very exciting, incredible footage that has never before been seen by the public.
David Sarita, a former Defense Department subcontractor, has been studying NASA's possible interest in UFOs for over 15 years. And he believes this incident, which has since become legendary on the internet as the Tether incident, may prove UFOs are real. February 25th, 1996, 100 miles above Africa, an experimental satellite system attached to a 12-mile-long electricity-conducting tether suddenly breaks. Within moments, the satellite drifts almost 100 miles away. Nitrogen gas gathers around the tether, effectively turning it into a gigantic fluorescent light in space. Incredibly, it seems to attract some strange company.
You see a swarm of what may be UFOs flying around it, and then we see the camera zoom in on these objects, and we see giant discs passing behind this tether.
But the astronauts involved in the mission seem to have a more mundane explanation.
It's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us.
But is it simply debris, as is often claimed by NASA when looking at alleged UFOs in space? Watch what happens when the cameras zoom in.
What we're seeing on the screen here appears very small, but if you blew this up, you would see that these objects are enormous in size. This UFO here, I measured approximately 2 to 3 miles in diameter against the 12-mile length of the tether. If it's further behind the tether than I think, it could be much larger.
The potential size of these UFOs is clearly mind-boggling. And according to Sarita, so is the advanced technology behind them. Would a piece of space junk pulsate in a regular pattern as we see here?
This spiral, to me, suggests a gravity wave that is stronger than light. This, to me, is proof, in quantum physics, that these UFOs are utilizing very advanced forms of gravity energy and zero-point energy.
Sarita believes that our space program does not yet possess this technology, nor the capability to perform the startling maneuvers displayed by these UFOs caught on tape during another shuttle mission.
If you look over here, you're going to see something that a meteorite cannot do. You're going to see a high-speed, angular turn, and the object continues. The G-forces on a turn like this would flatten any astronaut into a pancake.
Could all these objects be written off as mere space debris, as NASA contends? If that's so, then how can they explain this eye-opening footage of UFOs forming above the Earth?
As these UFOs reach their positions in this circle, they light up, showing incredible intelligence. There we see a UFO light up right in the middle of the circle. This shows intelligence.
Whatever the UFOs videotaped by NASA cameras are, there's no doubt that back down on Earth, they continue to be filmed over every major country around the globe. February 3rd, 1995. During the early morning hours, a woman tapes this mysterious craft hovering above Beijing, China. Notice how the glowing object floats, making no sharp turns or sudden maneuvers. While some dismiss the craft as a blimp, airline pilot and UFO researcher Jim Carant is not so sure.
I'm quite aware of what a blimp looks like, and these advertising blimps are in many areas around the world. I have checked with the blimp company that supplies many of the advertising blimps. We also did a check with the control tower, the radar, military and civilian over there, and there were no registered aircraft in the area at that time, blimp or otherwise. So I'm not quite sure what it is.
The UFO.
May 29th, 1993, Stuttgart, Germany. Halfway around the world, then 15-year-old Kai Metzger recorded a craft remarkably similar to the one seen over Beijing, China.
I saw this thing and I thought, oh my God, what's that? And because of that, I took my camera and shoot it, and I was really afraid of it.
What are we to make of these unusual-looking craft videotaped in the skies above China and Germany? Are they blimps or something much more inexplicable? Dr. Bruce Maccabee believes he has the answer.
We have studied a number of videos with this sort of an image, and in some cases have been able to absolutely prove that this is an image of a blimp which has lights on the inside, a transparent skin. This shape right here matches very closely, or perhaps exactly, with the known shapes of internally lighted blimps.
Derby, England, March 13th, 1995. This unidentified flying object was caught on tape for nearly an hour. The strangely shaped object was described as being completely silent. A few years later, in August 1998, a large metallic object was caught on tape again in England. This time in the village of Silbury Hill, an area famous for UFO sightings. The noiseless craft was said to hover in the sky for 2 to 3 minutes before disappearing, and then it returned, and then blinked out. During a 5-month-long wave of UFO sightings in Peru in February 1999, 2 photographers captured the same imposing object on the very same evening just outside Lima. The next night, this mysterious craft was caught on tape again for a full 40 minutes as it hovered above the nearby town of Pueblo Libre. Look at this red glow on the object's underside. Later, 3 distinct white lights appear on top. Jim Courant finds the images baffling.
You have something that was so strange that anybody seeing it.
A respected UFO researcher, Santiago Itoria, shot the tape.
From the mountain emerged this huge, red glowing, very bright object. So I began filming, and we realized that it was indeed a UFO, triangular shape, red glowing UFO, very silent, and it was very low altitude.
Look here as Itoria zooms in with his camera, focusing on its mysterious red glow.
We took 2 days reviewing the video, making analysis on the computer, and we discovered that this UFO has this kind of energy all around.
Can there be any simple explanations for the strange objects continuously being recorded around the globe and even above it? Most UFO investigators remain perplexed. Interestingly, some don't see it as a threat, but as a blessing.
We don't know what they are, where do they come from, what do they want, but we are convinced that this presence is positive to our lives.
Among the many impressive cases of UFOs caught on tape around the world, perhaps none has captured the public's imagination as much as those seen over Mexico. The wave of sightings, which started in 1991, continued throughout the decade as UFO watchers kept their cameras trained to the sky. Amazingly, many Mexican people are starting to believe that not only are unidentified flying objects navigating in the skies above them, but aliens are actually landing and meeting with their country. December 8, 1999, as a Mexico City businessman got dressed for work in the early morning, he spotted this unusual craft outside his window and managed to capture it on tape. Listen as he speaks to the possible inhabitants of the unknown craft.
¿Sabes qué? Llámale alguna cosa de los medios de comunicación.
He realized that it could be some of the so-called UFOs, and it was the classic shape of the oval UFO, most of the times present in the skies of Mexico. He was very excited, and he said, "How are you, boys? How are you staying? What can you tell me about Alpha Centauri?" And suddenly the object disappeared. Maybe they didn't like the comments.
Notice the dark upper and bottom edges of the craft, and the spinning movement in the middle, which seems to disturb the atmosphere around it. Whatever was floating in the Mexico City sky that morning remains a mystery. But there are some UFO cases in Mexico which, simply put, are either too good to be true or elaborate hoaxes. Incredibly, some of these even involve meetings with alleged alien beings. November 1991, Tepoztlan, Mexico. A man named Carlos Diaz managed to capture a UFO over his house. Look here as he zooms in on the strange orange object in the sky. Then suddenly, he is somehow right on top of it, as we see amazing detail rarely seen in any UFO video.
It was like plasma, classic plasma shape with red color, red glowing color, and with these spinning movements that show that it was indeed a UFO and not another known object.
While Carlos Diaz's first videos may be impressive to some experts, many still feel that Diaz, a professional photographer, should have stopped there. Since his first videotaped sighting, Diaz has managed to record many other UFOs, but some of them are simply too far-fetched and simply look hoaxed. Look at this video taken in June of 1992. Notice how the UFO suddenly appears out of nowhere, almost as if it is turned on like a light bulb. Another video taken in May of 1993 shows the craft close up. Suddenly, some strange laser beam seemingly shoots out from the bottom. But are we seeing an actual UFO, or merely part of an elaborate hoax perpetrated by Diaz? Dr. Bruce Maccabee has viewed much of the Diaz material.
This video was shot through a window in his house, and that means that there's a possibility that he could have hung something in front of the camera, just outside his house, quite easily.
But do we disregard all of Diaz's video evidence simply because some of it may not look credible?
Now, I can't say that every one of these things is not an actual unidentified flying object out there. I would tend to believe that some of them may be fabricated.
Even more shockingly, Diaz is claiming actual alien contact. He alleges that beings from another world invite him aboard their spaceships and give him messages for mankind.
Carlos Diaz told me that he was absorbed by the plasma craft in some way. So when he met the occupants, he said that they were beings of light, kind of spiritual extraterrestrials.
September 1994. In the small village of Metepec in central Mexico, a woman went public with a video showing a supposed alien being in a field next to her home. She didn't shoot it just once. She allegedly shot it twice. The alleged alien in the field videotaped in Metepec has made news headlines in several countries. But is it real? Take a look at the image. It appears to be a glowing creature of some kind. The body seems somewhat squatty, the head possibly a typical alien seen in many magazines and newspapers as well as books. What are we to make of it?
Reasonable resemblance to a conventional aircraft of any kind.
We showed the intriguing video to Dr. Bruce Maccabee. He offers a possible explanation for what we're seeing.
The question is this image shape actually the shape of the object, or has it been modified by the camera? If it's on automatic focus, it likely tries to focus at a wrong distance. When that happens, you get an image in which the shape of the image is related to the aperture of the camera rather than the actual shape of the object.
But how is it possible that the same individual, using the same camera, captured 3 separate images on 3 separate nights? If so, what are we really looking at? Maccabee cannot say for sure.
This thing right here suggests to me that the actual shape of the object has not got round things like that on it. It was a very bright light, which may well be a UFO. But the shape of the object is probably not this shape.
But this amazing, flying, structured craft has no earthly explanation. It was seen over the small farming village of Kibbutz Hatzor for 3 consecutive nights in August of 1996. This video, shot by a young resident of the kibbutz, shows a bizarre-looking, partially lit craft with strange red markings and rectangular shapes. When the camera zooms in, we see what appears to be a light on the craft's left side take on amazing structure. The structure, some say, resembles a huge flying building with hallways. 17-year-old Amiche Shoah was stunned to be awakened by the strange, bright object in the night sky. He watched in amazement as it hovered above for hours. He waited for its return the next night, video camera in hand. By the 3rd night, word of the strange craft had spread, and some 60 members of the kibbutz came out to see it in all its glorious color. This time, Amiche's batteries failed, but he managed to film the odd craft again using a neighbor's camera. Look what he managed to capture on tape. The structure is so massive that the illuminated portion is said to represent only 5 to 7% of its actual size. Is this the design of some otherworldly architect? As incredible as it sounds, some UFO researchers claim it could be housing alien inhabitants, giant aliens as described in the Bible.
has ever seen one like this before. So it was captured on 2 separate nights, 1 separate morning, over 100 people.
The shape of a crown, and the entire object shrinks in size and turns a deep shade of orange. UFO researcher Michael Lindemann has never come across anything quite like this.
Seeing the video of this thing, I must say it's very impressive, and I can't imagine what it is. It doesn't look like any prosaic object that I can think of. It doesn't bear any reasonable resemblance to a conventional aircraft of any kind.
We showed the intriguing video to Dr. Bruce Maccabee. He offers a possible explanation for what we're seeing.
The question is this image shape actually the shape of the object, or has it been modified by the camera? If it's on automatic focus, it likely tries to focus at a wrong distance. When that happens, you get an image in which the shape of the image is related to the aperture of the camera rather than the actual shape of the object.
But how is it possible that the same individual, using the same camera, captured 3 separate images on 3 separate nights? If so, what are we really looking at? Maccabee cannot say for sure.
This thing right here suggests to me that the actual shape of the object has not got round things like that on it. It was a very bright light, which may well be a UFO. But the shape of the object is probably not this shape.
But this amazing, flying, structured craft has no earthly explanation. It was seen over the small farming village of Kibbutz Hatzor for 3 consecutive nights in August of 1996. This video, shot by a young resident of the kibbutz, shows a bizarre-looking, partially lit craft with strange red markings and rectangular shapes. When the camera zooms in, we see what appears to be a light on the craft's left side take on amazing structure. The structure, some say, resembles a huge flying building with hallways. 17-year-old Amiche Shoah was stunned to be awakened by the strange, bright object in the night sky. He watched in amazement as it hovered above for hours. He waited for its return the next night, video camera in hand. By the 3rd night, word of the strange craft had spread, and some 60 members of the kibbutz came out to see it in all its glorious color. This time, Amiche's batteries failed, but he managed to film the odd craft again using a neighbor's camera. Look what he managed to capture on tape. The structure is so massive that the illuminated portion is said to represent only 5 to 7% of its actual size. Is this the design of some otherworldly architect? As incredible as it sounds, some UFO researchers claim it could be housing alien inhabitants, giant aliens as described in the Bible.
No one has ever seen one like this before. So it was captured on 2 separate nights, 1 separate morning, over 100 people. Close-up of these vents. I mean, really close. You're right inside them. And they could be teeth for all you know. And you have no idea what's attacking you with this orange structure. I believe it's energy vents or something. Something to do with venting energy.
The kibbutz is near an Israeli Air Force base, but Chamish is convinced this is no military craft.
Everything is wrong. The dimensions are wrong. The squares aren't quite squares. If it was a military vehicle, it hasn't come back. It's never been, the likes of it have never been seen ever again.
Then what was hovering above Israel for 3 consecutive nights that summer?
Obviously, if this is up in the sky, there's nothing that's supposed to be up in the sky that looks quite like that. It apparently is some object which has got that sort of a size to it in this level of blow-up. When they zoom in and get a structured image out of this, it's just plain, it doesn't look like anything that I've ever seen. It doesn't look like any ordinary UFO, that's for sure, but it certainly doesn't look like an airplane or a blimp, balloons or whatever. But this would have to be considered to be unknown.
These unexplainable UFOs videotaped over Israel have never been sighted anywhere else in the world. Some believe the Holy Land may hold special significance for visitors from other worlds. Even Israeli television has broadcast images of possible UFOs on the news. However, according to Chamish, the Israeli military has secretly viewed UFOs as a possible threat.
Israel has never admitted to UFOs, and I know for a fact that our Air Force is chasing them constantly. I was in the Air Force. We were ordered not to tell anyone.
This extraordinary footage may actually show a UFO being tracked by an Israeli military jet. The video was shot by a student named Gil Bar.
I got my camera and zoom in the object, and as I zoom in, the object began to get closer or brighter, and I didn't understand what it was.
But what happened next is even more baffling. Visually, it appears as though the objects are interacting. Notice how the two seem to be checking each other out. But who is following who? Is the plane a fighter jet attempting to achieve lock-on or awaiting further instruction from the ground? Or is the orb engaging the jet in a little fun? Finally, the two seem to cross paths before the jet flies out of frame.
Here's an electronic Captain Mars game. You've got a high-flying surveillance plane throwing all this electronics on this disc, and this disc kind of bopping away from the waves of the beams. I think it was just playing with this plane.
But there was nothing playful about this dramatic UFO encounter, recorded on September 28, 1996, near the town of Rosh Ain, not far from Tel Aviv. Could this be a UFO being shot down, or two rival UFOs engaged in battle? Chamish believes the craft involved are not of this world.
We don't have things like that in anybody's Air Force. And secondly, there was no shrapnel. There's no sparks. Nothing physical exploded.
Chamish thinks that the UFOs over Israel are definitely not military aircraft, but may in fact be aliens, and their appearance may be cause for alarm.
Well, what are they here for? I think there's every reason to fear these things.
As we've shown tonight, Americans and people around the world are continuing to capture more and more videos of unidentified flying objects in our skies. Whether they turn out to be intricate light sculptures created for amusement, as is probably the case with this extraordinary UFO videotaped at a Nevada Performance Art Festival, or perhaps a too-good-to-be-true flying saucer caught on tape hovering over New York City. Each provocative case needs to be studied until firm answers are found. Some experts, as well as videographers, believe that governments are not doing enough to solve the UFO enigma.
I don't think that UFOs come from such a high level of mystery that we're incapable of understanding them. I think that we have yet to launch the kind of investigation that the mystery deserves.
In a recent development, an increasing number of self-described UFO hunters are uniting through informal channels and the internet to share videos as well as information.
I'm in contact with about 12 people right now that are hardcore like me. But I know there gotta be at least 50 of us. Maybe in the future it's gonna pick up as a fad or something, and there's gonna be more and more.
100,000 people had camcorders or a camera. That right there, Congress would definitely open their eyes to have a study.
Even NASA's own cameras are capturing strange disc-shaped objects that seem to demonstrate technology that might be more advanced than our own. But what's more astounding is that some